people think that you have to look like you got money to build a business. In the music business, it's the only business in the world where people think you gotta look like you're making money to actually make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Fuck You Money with Ty and Yo. That's my man Ty. I'm Yo.
What's happening?
And we are a podcast about wellness and business.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about today, Ty?
Man, we are talking about the top 4 things that you should be thinking about if you're going to be successful in the music business, pre-success and after success.
Okay. Ty, what is number 4?
Number 4 is invest into infrastructure.
Now, please break down why that's so important.
When you see success as an independent company or as a business, as a business owner, one of the things why big companies are successful because they invest into project management tools, they invest into, programs, software, storage, staffing. All of these things is infrastructure, right?
Which your business will stand upon.
Which your business will stand upon outside of whoever you're in partnership with.
Okay.
Yep.
But why in the music do you feel like that does not happen often, especially with new people getting in the business?
Well, because independence has taken over. And people historically have been used to sitting on a major label's infrastructure. So now when you go out and you're seeing success as an indie, if you invest into infrastructure, you'll feel less the need to go and do business with a major label. Not because they're bad or anything, just because you won't feel a lack because you've been investing into your infrastructure. And it ain't overnight as well. They got to be something that you're consciously thinking about and planning for before you make $1.
Now, before we move on to number 3, give me a ballpark of how long it took you to build infrastructure for your business.
It was in phases, right? The 2016, I figured out a tool called STEM that created an opportunity so that I could pay everybody directly. That alone saved me 5% on business management fees. And it's probably saved me a whole bunch of other money that I didn't even really think about at the time. Definitely saved me in getting sued because people like, yo, this song blew up and we ain't been paid. So it created a thing where everybody was on an equal playing field. And what infrastructure really does is that it creates normality. And normality basically means that everybody know when they get paid, everybody know what their splits are, everything is transparent. You can log into a portal to be able to see what is happening with the different things. So, yeah.
And that consistency helped you build your business a way that made you feel not just that you were in good company with STEM, but you can continue to build more infrastructure for your artists and for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because it starts with STEM, but then after that, you kind of understood.
Well, it didn't start with STEM. STEM was just the solution. I was thinking about it before.
Okay.
So that's why it's important that why I would say before your success and even after your success. I was thinking about infrastructure before. STEM just came along. I was like, ooh, that's it. But if you don't know what ooh is or what that it is because you haven't been thinking about it and you're just constantly doing the thing that we're going to talk about, which is number 3.
What's number 3?
Not managing your overhead properly. This is your personal overhead. If you get a big publishing deal and you take your commission off of, $1 million as a manager and you say, yo, I'm gonna take my $200,000, I'm gonna get me a bus down. I'm gonna go get me a BMW truck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go get me a high rise that is $4,000 a month in downtown LA. And then you're gonna be fucked up and broke in 9 months.
Not 9 months.
That money go fast because if you're making them type of spending habits, as soon as you get the money, 1, you're not investing into infrastructure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And 2, you're not thinking about managing your overhead. Right? And so
because you done blown that.
Because you already in your brain, you balling out. You like, it's Free Birdman, you know, bling bling, you know what I'm saying?
Why do you
So-
feel like that's such a common thing you see in music? Is it because the check is so big that people just naturally feel like, let me go spend, I didn't work for this? Or is it just the lifestyle?
It's the lifestyle. It's people who think that you have to look like you got money to build a business. In the music business, it's the only business in the world where people think you gotta look like you're making money to actually make money.
Yeah. I mean, I read that money begets money, that people are more likely to invest in someone that looks like they have it than someone who doesn't.
Looking like you have money doesn't mean that you're gonna be going to debt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can talk like you're making money.
Mm-hmm.
Being educated to a certain degree, people can assume that you must have had money to get educated.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You can't tell if a person know how to code. I automatically assume like, yo, how did they learn how to code? They must come from a affluent neighborhood or like they had these different programs.
They've been educated somewhere.
So that's why.
But you don't feel that way about money. Money doesn't tell you about education.
No, because you can take money and pay $200,000 for a, ridiculous watch. Or you can take $100,000 and go pay for tuition for 4 years for an undergrad degree.
Right.
It just all depends on where you hold your values.
Okay. Who taught you about overhead for yourself? Who instilled that in you?
I think I learned about overhead through research and watching other people crash and burn. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like that number 3 things you need to know before you get into the music business and even after your success in the music business.
Hold on.
It's so important.
Before we get to number 3, Ty, what does it mean to be successful in the music business?
Well, I mean, success in the music business is definitely like this, like the concept of like beauty is in the beholder, right? So like you gotta almost kind of envision what your ideology of success looks like in general. Right?
Yeah, a holistic view of success.
Yeah, and before we even get into like this holistic view of success, we got 2 more topics that's gonna really take you to the next level when you do have this success, because we're gonna speak it into existence.
Yes.
If you come into the show, you tuning in, you're gonna be successful in music, but these same like points and tips apply even when you're trying to just build a real estate business or whatever the type of business it is. But we'll come to those final 2 points more towards the end of the show, so you got to stay tuned in as we walk through all these different points. So when we start talking about what does success look like to me, it's like almost asking me, do I like Hyundai or do I like a Maybach? Right?
Yeah.
So if you ask me that question, I'm like, I like a Maybach, but I'm probably gonna put my money in something that's more similar to a Hyundai or a Honda, because what success look like to me is controlling my time. So if I can make money in the music business and I can be able to control my time, I'm successful. Because if I can control my time, I can control my boundaries. I can control what I intake mentally, all of those different things. But I do think
none of this has to do with car you're driving.
No, man. I got the most worst advice that I didn't take back in 2013. A woman who was very, very, very successful in the music space, when I told her that I was going to move to LA, she was like, if you move to LA, you need to get you a nice watch and you need to get a nice car, like a Lexus, nothing too crazy. And I just thought it was the stupidest shit I ever heard. And obviously I didn't take that advice.
You did not.
Yeah, not till later. You know what I'm saying?
Not till
later.
But someone once told me the most outcasted person in Los Angeles is a black man without a haircut. Truly.
Right,
He said, yo, if you black, you ain't got no haircut in LA, they will treat you like you're dirt.
Oh, shit.
And this is someone that told me that they tried multiple times to move to LA, build their business. But that was the thing he took away. He was like, bro, get a haircut.
Right.
Which is not buying a Lexus. But sometimes people do. Your presentation does beget some type of like who you
So
are.
so this was so funny about the shit, right? People always pick on me about this. People that know me, I be dusty on purpose.
Okay.
Like I stayed dusty on purpose for so long because I don't be wanting nobody to know nothing. No, my family, nothing. I'm dusty. I don't know. Well, at some point I can't hide it, but like for the longest.
Yeah.
And you want to
was
know?
like committed.
And you want to know
it.
what will happen?
What?
I will get people that will communicate to me as if our business was on the same scale, right?
Okay.
And I had to come to the realization that they're gonna keep talking to me like we equals.
Yeah.
Not equal as persons, because all of us are equal as people. But from a business perspective,
you look like we
we look like we about to do the same thing. And so I had to come to that realization, like, man, you just got to deal with it, bro, because this is your doing. You're the one that makes it so normal that you're in this bit with no haircut, face all dusty.
I mean, you didn't have a haircut at your birthday. That's when I knew. But it's your birthday. I thought the braids was gonna be done. I was like, oh, that's just time. But I will say before we move on, in the music space, it does feel like dressing up, being in that car, having that chain, having these accessories make you feel like, all right, I am successful enough to be talking to someone that might have more money than me.
So let me say this, because I don't want to, we know enough information to say this. Yes, if you pull up in a expensive car at a function and you work within the entertainment and music space, you're going to get attention. People are going to want to know who this person is. Yeah. People are going to be like, oh, he's dressed nicely or she's dressed nicely. Those are shiny objects that's going to draw in attention, right? What both parties should be aware of on both sides, the person that is attracting the attention, you got to be like, can I keep this shit up? Will I be able to sustain this car note? Would I be able to sustain this, this luxury thing that I've put out, right? Because that's what you're going to attract. You're going to attract people that are curious on doing business with you because they feel like y'all are equal. People that are curious that want to do business with you because they feel like you can lift them up. You're going to attract women that probably are only looking at what you have and not looking within, right? And then you're going to, this is something that's going to fuck you up. You're going to create an island for yourself. And what I mean by that is people that think that you already rich, they don't want to help you.
No,
nobody want to help no rich motherfucker.
They kind of want your help to help them get to where they think you are.
No, so when you fucked up a year later because you done balled out, they still think you're rich.
Yeah.
Even though you was never rich, you just made some key purchases that made it come out. So I just wanted to make sure I say that there is a pro and a con to each approach. The approach to being dusty businessman, but having this certain level of success, but everybody keeps addressing you like y'all the same. And, people that you might want to connect with will look at you and be like, we're not, shoot, peasant, right? But then on the other side of it, when you show up with the watch, with the entourage or with the car and you got the high rise in whatever city, there's a certain thing that come with that where you don't know what's real or fake.
No, you don't.
The dusty approach,
But you gotta have a lot of confidence in yourself.
1,000%.
To kind of maintain that.
Yeah, man. I've been running this comfy and dusty.
Comfy and dusty is crazy.
DC, dusty and confident.
Before we move on, I wanted to ask you, did you hear about the biggest Ponzi scheme in Hollywood?
The biggest Ponzi scheme in Hollywood is, are you talking about FTX?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. That's a big one. That was a big one.
Because, boy, I was just looking at that shit the other day. That's crazy.
I can't think of brother's name, but it was a D-class actor who was trying to break into Hollywood, and he started to tell people that he was licensing out Spanish films to streaming services. And he was like, hey, if you give me money to license this film, I will be able to get you back your money plus a 49% profit.
Oh no,
increase.
that's when you run.
Yeah.
That's when you run.
So he started with his college friends. And because he was able to get their money back, they went and told their family. And they went and told their family. And all he was doing was taking the money from old investors, new investors, and paying old investors. Hand over fist. Hand over fist. Ty, he went and got the luxury car. He went and got the luxury home. He lived so large that people just thought he had all this money and they were getting their money back. He was able to do this for 6 years.
Wow.
But then he wasn't able to get new investors to pay the old investors. So now people are looking for their money. Ty, man gave him $1.5 million. So now
you looking for 49% return on that?
Could not find someone to scam. So once the old investors realized they weren't getting their money, they called the FBI. The FBI came in. He got 20 years.
How much money did he scam them out of?
They said overall it was somewhere in the upwards of $600 million.
How much?
$600 million.
My lordy.
Yeah, he was able to.
For 6 years?
For 6 years.
That's like $100 million a year.
Yeah.
Who did he know?
Yo, but that's what I'm saying. He went to like an Ivy League school, like a bunch of college people that wanted to get into like the tech world, wanted to get into Hollywood. And because people were getting their money back initially, it just brought more people in. Which is why I'm hearing what you're saying is like so interesting because money makes people feel like,
bro,
I can give you money.
Me and Brent was talking the other day and it was a conversation about trying to stay out of the way. Mm-hmm. Literally trying to get people to stop calling us. Right? Because the truth of the matter is, it's like,
trying to stay out of the way is crazy.
So when we was coming up, and this happens to anybody that's trying to be successful in any business. Right. When you're coming up in music specifically, right? Yeah. You want to feature with your favorite artist, they're going to tell you no. You'll be like, fuck off, right? Either because they don't know you or you ain't got no money.
But they want it, though. They want this feature so bad.
Like, yeah, but you as a person, you're like, man, if I can just get this feature, it's going to change. But what we used to do is when we used to get told no, we'll be like, shit, man, let's just keep grinding. When we got to the point where people wanted features from us and we would say no, people would take it personal. And we would be so confused. We would be like, bro, we got told no by so many people and we just took it as, you know what? Let's just keep working, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't really we can't be in our feelings about it. This they art. Yeah. Whatever the case may be. So what ends up happening when you're like those type of people, though, those people that like are scamming, bro, scammers do not look for the dusty and confident, okay? They just don't. The scammers don't look for the DCs, man. The DCs. They don't look for the DCs, baby.
But that's how, and them folks get scammed because they feel like they look the part, like looking in the mirror, and then they see someone that reflects them. And, I brought that up because, it's probably better to be dusty and comfortable and legal than spend 6 years scamming and now spend the next 20 years in prison.
Yo, man, when I tell you that's crazy, the scamming shit just so crazy because I was looking at the FTX shit the other day and the guy that ran it, that was the head of the Ponzi scheme, his girlfriend was like the head of finance. Bro, she looks 13 years old.
Oh, really?
I was like, who gave her money? No way Tom Brady and all these people gave these folks millions of dollars. She looked like she was a 13-year-old Children of the Corn character, bro.
You said you would have never.
Oh, my God, I would have never gave her money. I would have been like, oh, this is a scam. No way this 13-year-old know how to do counting. No way. No way. It don't matter what she would have said to me, my paranoia would have kicked in. It just would have been, and then I would have got scammed by the nigga to do a Spanish film.
That's how you would have been.
You know what I'm saying? But overall, I just wanted to articulate that it's both sides has its pros and its cons.
Yeah.
But one thing about the dusty and the low-key side is that you don't get distracted and you can have time to really build your business quietly, learn, educate yourself, educate your team, learn all the trades. You know what I'm saying? So that's why now motherfuckers can't convince me about no music shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear that shit, man. I done wore all the hats. I done did all the work. You can't finesse me on this.
How many years, Si, did you say it took you to learn it?
I'm still learning, but like the base level of it, it was about 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
5 years in when I felt like I had a grip on like some of the fundamental things. You know what I'm saying? You gotta realize like 2000, me and Brent started 2000, we met 2014.
Mm-hmm.
By 2016, we got our first check.
Okay.
By the April 2018, I was using ADP for payroll. Like this shit that you was just, I shouldn't have been using ADP for payroll.
Yeah,
It cost too much money. I had insurance. Like I had all type of shit. I had fucking 2018.
Okay.
So like, Sony Global had ADP. It just was so expensive. I didn't know no better though.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that, man, payroll, I need to run payroll, pay these taxes, man. I don't want to be dealing with this shit. But that's a part of like having infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to account for payroll taxes if you're running payroll so you can track everything, so you can write this shit off. You got to be able to write it off, man. And that's another part of knowing the infrastructure, because what ends up happening is people that try to avoid infrastructure, paying taxes is a part of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, how much you pay in taxes is just based on your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But paying taxes is a part of it, because when you pay taxes, you create another layer of like your personal approval of how much you make. Your company's in compliance. Being in compliance is infrastructure. Once again, being in compliance is considered infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? The motherfuckers that's out that bitch for 4 or 5 years ain't never paid taxes before. Bro, Uncle Sam gonna find you. And when they find you, you better hope that you did something that was a real loophole.
Now, do you feel like, because there's always in music people not paying their taxes,
Yeah.
but that's just based off them not really building no infrastructure, huh?
Basically.
Yeah.
Because infrastructure is going to force you to think about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to, because if I'm paying taxes, payroll taxes, because I'm running payroll with QuickBooks or with ADP or with Gusto or with whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to have to address my personal taxes. Because my staff is going to get W-2s at the end of the fucking year, and my contractor is going to get 1099s. I'm going to have to address the shit business-wise. So I have to address it personally, too.
Now, how many, staff-wise, in 2018, how many people did you have on staff?
2018, how many people I had on staff? Man, shit. Me, Brent, Deepak, like a 2. It probably like the artists.
Yeah.
They wouldn't need like real staff members. Like we might, when we did went out on tour, that's how we would pay people on tour, run payroll. But yeah, we didn't have like a real, that shit was more so for us.
But that was good for you to have like a small number of guys to kind of learn the system. And is that part of like also scaling your business?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, do you want to give them the third tip?
Third tip. We already gave them the third tip.
Oh, the second tip, my bad.
Yeah, the second tip. Don't want to give them the second tip. Fuck it. We'll get into the second tip. Second tip is do not sell your IP too early. What that means is IP is your intellectual property, and we're specifically talking about your music rights and your publishing rights. Never sell that. That is the number 2 most important thing to know as you venture into business of music, whether you are starting out or you starting to see success.
Now, why in music do you feel people sell their rights so soon?
Because they have been taught through past experiences that that's the rite of passage. You go to a record label, you get a record deal, they own your shit. That's what ends up happening.
And it's crazy to put it that way. It was a rite of passage, right?
It
like
was.
That was seen as the thing you were supposed to do.
Yeah, fuck that. It's a new day. New American dream. Own your shit. You know what I'm saying? Own your shit. Get a job. Pay your way through college. You know what I'm saying? Get a job. Own your shit. Put your releases out. Work your job. Drive Uber. Instacart. no scamming, babysit, do all the shit, man.
Yeah.
But do not sell your rights too early.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell your rights, it should be because you know you about to retire. And this shit finna give you the real check.
The real check.
The real check.
No, you know, no. I guess the thing is people feel like even a small check will feel like a real check when you ain't got nothing.
This is very true. So you're not going... The number one thing that you need to know, and we're not even going to get into it at this point, but when I break that part down, then you're going to really understand what it means to be very thoughtful in how you position yourself and your intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
So we start talking about business. It's like, I'm going to build this house. And when I build this house, I'm going to go sell it to somebody for less than what I paid for it, or less what I built for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that I sold it for less than what I built it for, or the less of the value, is because I never got a true appraiser on it.
Okay.
You can't sell stuff that you can't get a true appraisal on. If you sell some shit that you haven't got a true appraisal on, you're gonna be like kicking yourself in the ass, right? Have you heard about the company, the chip company? I think it's called Nevada.
Nevada.
It's blowing up in the tech space. It's like one of the biggest companies on the stock market. I think it's pronounced Nevada or Nvidia.
Nvidia,
yeah. But Nvidia, it was a woman that sold it, like some years ago, and it was like a chart that showed where she sold it at, and like she sold it here, and when she sold it, the bitch went like this, right? Like, and I don't know how much of she was like a big shareholder in it, but it was like a woman that sold it or some shit like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you feel like she sold it too soon?
Yeah. I mean, some stuff that you just gotta sit with. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff you gotta be like, you know what? This shit feel like it's gonna hit. It's so unique, I just gotta stay with it.
When do you feel like you really understood that though? Like, man, I'm not selling.
I used to say no and then they understand why I was saying no. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hell no, that's stupid. And then my no was just based on this logical thought process. Had nothing to do with the ownership of Masters. Because I would have sold my ownership of Masters if nigga would have been like, man, fuck it, we just do 50-50 partnership.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna need the Masters though. I'd have been like, well, shit, nigga, 50-50, I'm probably gonna let these go. But it's just the thought process of somebody telling you that they're gonna pay you 16%. It just always threw me off.
Just that number 16.
That shit always threw me off, bro.
Now, I don't want to get into your personal finances, but I'm pretty sure you needed that deal.
Hell yeah. You always need a deal when you just start this shit. Because there ain't no money that just is given to you. You always need to have some level of like a loan. Either it's your own money or your friend's money or your mama money or your like whatever, the record label money, the publisher money. Somebody got to give you some money. In our situation, it was Post. We sold our publishing catalog too early. We served 6 years in prison and up in publishing prison.
Yeah.
We still had a great partner. I'm just saying the standpoint of like, they owned our shit. And when it was time to renegotiate after we got out of the deal, now we're hotter. And they was like, we want to redo the deal. I said, $5 million admin deal. And the owner was like, whoa, is that a real number? I'm like, yep, real number. $5 million admin deal.
How did you come up with that number?
Man, I just thought about the large number I could thought about right then. I was like, let me get 20% of $5 million. I was in that bitch like I was at McDonald's drive-thru. Let me get 20% of that $5 million.
Let me get that 5-piece, please.
Yeah. And the owner of Post, which is Scott, he was like, is that a real number? I was like, yep. He was like, okay, let me come back with it. Let me come back and see what I can do. And he came back and he said, how about this? How about you extend the contract for 3 more years under the current terms, and I'll give you $3 million, and then in 20 years, all of your publishing catalog revert back to you, and you and Brent will own it at 100%. I said, okay, let's do that. I ain't tripping off that, because now it positioned him that when he's, at the time we did the deal, Brent was like 26. By the time he's in his mid 40s, his catalog, he owns 100% of it. So now, the only thing he's doing now is just, when that deal is up, which is this year.
Right, this will be the third year.
Yeah, this year the deal will be up. And he'll have a brand new deal that he can go and do, $10, $15 million publishing deal with a new catalog. And now he knows that he's going to own his old catalog at some point, because that's his retirement plan, right? He can go and do these next 5 to 7 years, build that catalog up. He can actually sell that new catalog and keep his old catalog, because he can't do nothing with it necessarily. He can sell some parts of it if you want to like monetize his skill set like that.
But the option is given because of the way you, one, negotiated. You just said the biggest number you can think of versus, I had to come back with something that was going to be worth your while.
Had to.
Because you could have walked.
Oh, I'm if you ain't gonna give me the money, I'll fuck it. And it still was stupid. It doesn't matter if you'd have said, I'll give you $2 million or I'll give you $1 million if you extend it. I would have been stupid by not accepting it to get that man's publishing back, which is a part of our overall company. So it makes our company more valuable down the road. So they could have offered less money. I probably would still took the deal, just because they had the only thing that nobody else can offer us.
Right. Do you think 20 years was a long time?
20 years is not a long time when you're 26. And you don't want to be broke when you're in your 40s.
You do not.
You do not want to have it and lose it. No, you do not.
So that's like guaranteeing that at least in your late 40s, early 50s, you'll own your music.
Your music will come back. You'll have that revenue driving income, and you'll be able to identify and build things, because Brent is a true songwriter. True songwriters publishing matter, because they're not getting songs from other people. They're writing these stories about their lives. They're writing stories about other people's lives, all of these different components. So it's almost like a relic. Like his catalog specifically is like this relic. It's like, it's very rare. How it happened, the ownership around, all of these different things is just really rare for him. So his catalog as a songwriter is going to keep growing and be just as valuable as a Diane Warren or as a Dream or even an Amy Winehouse. Like his shit is going to keep growing and be successful. Valuable.
And I remember you told me that early catalog also has like no samples.
Nah, that's another thing.
So there was no one to have splits with.
No, we the sample, baby. So by the time he in his 40s, he gonna be getting sampled. Well, he's already getting sampled, but it's just gonna keep increasing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bought-in aspect of it. You want to get into the last number one thing that is important. If you want to be successful long term, before you get into music, and long term after you start seeing success, the number one thing to make sure that you do not do is do not invest into educating yourself through enterprising, through business, through taking online courses, through business mentorship, through business executive coaching. One of the number one things I see that people do wrong when they start having success in music is that they don't take the money that they're making and start investing into educating themselves about the business that they want to build. Lack of education is how we get taken advantage of. Lack of education is how we get scammed. Lack of education is how you go to bankrupt. Lack of education is the core denominator in the Black community when we do not see the success we should be seeing.
Do you believe seeing some success makes you believe that I know the system. I know the work just makes money. Why change what works?
Why change? You don't change what works if it has long-term value, right? If you're putting out music with a record label and they own everything, you should be trying to make that change. Because you're not getting educated. You might didn't get educated before you did the deal. But in the process of that deal, every time you get a royalty check, every time you get a show check, you say, I'm going to buy this book, or I'm going to pay for this program, or I'm going to hire this executive coach, or I'm going to go and audit these college classes. Whatever those different things are, it creates this dynamic where you're like, wait a minute, why would I sign up again for them to own my masters longer? Or I just had a really big splash. Let me try to negotiate my masters back. Now that I got them going, because I'm building a bigger empire, and now I'm having a success moment right now. You know what I'm saying? Like an artist like last year when that kid Tommy Richmond blew up last summer, right? He was already in a license deal. But let's just say he wasn't. That motherfucker can start negotiating like, hey man, I'm gonna stop. I ain't finna be putting no more music out. Y'all gonna have to renegotiate my terms. Put me in a license deal. You're not finna own this music. Now I see what's going on. But he didn't have to do that part because he was already in a license deal. But like those are the type of success that people feel when they're already in deals. Then next thing you know, that thing kind of blow up for them.
But again, it's because it's so hard not to get in a deal early. Well, that's what you're looking for. Like, how do you, I guess so many artists want to be educated, but I also feel like so many people are just hungry. Like they're so hungry that the only thing they can think about is, and I think somebody rap a line and said, you can't eat this book.
Right.
And I think their perspective was, you got to do what you can to eat. And I just feel like that is such a trap.
Right.
It's such a trap. You got to do what you can to eat, but then what if you eating and they own everything? They even own the food.
Y'all can eat some poison. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's better to fast when you don't got the ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes eating is a distraction. When you start talking about your reasoning on signing the deal because you need to eat, this ain't no motherfucking buffet. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason why you signed the deal is to advance your family. And you can fast, and that fasting approach, both physically and mentally, will help you with a different level of breakthrough with your faith. But like, you have to be willing to take on the responsibility of turning over all of the stones before you make a decision that this is the only option I have. Because there's always multiple options. They may not be as attractive financially and whatever the case may be, but there's always multiple options.
It might not be attractive to the way you thought it was going to play out. Like the way you might imagine your life being, you might imagine what your music will end up taking you. The situation might present itself and it's not the dream.
No.
Did you have that?
The situation presented me not the dream?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been presented in a bunch of situations, man, and I'm not gonna say that I was arrogant when I was telling everybody no. I just felt like I was gonna fuck up. I was like, man, I can't fuck this up, man. No. Just saying no out of fear drove me to getting more educated.
Wow.
Because I was just terrified that I was gonna fuck this kid shit up because it had happened in a way in the past that I was like, man, I'm never gonna be a part of this again, this type of shit. Like, I'm gonna ask all the questions. I'm gonna make sure the artists absolutely know that if you sign this shit, you know that you can end your ownership and control over your career. I was very, very, very direct about that type of shit. So for me, I was more terrified than it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. People say yes out of fear. Fear that they won't have that opportunity present itself again. Maybe they won't even see you know what I'm saying, if you got $100 in your pocket and somebody offer you $100,000, you might think, whew, I might not see that. I don't know. This song might not be hot tomorrow.
It's a lot of paper when you only got $100.
You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like music just feels like that's the industry versus like, obviously when you look at the NBA or the NFL or any national sports, everyone's not going to make it.
No.
Everyone's not going to make it. Some people not going to make it out of AAU. Some people not going to make it out of college. Some people not going to make it out of semi-pro. But when you do make it to the league, it feels like, you know, the check you get is based off how well you played during your duration through all these things. Exactly. Music is not like that. Everyone thinks like they can make it. Everyone thinks they can make it to the league or make it to a label or, you know what I'm saying? And obviously it's because everyone has like a story to tell.
Right.
And I think rap and R&B and soul and country gives everyone a chance to tell their story. But the business does not always give you a chance to like live your dream.
Yeah. Man, when it's all said and done, when you're trying to be successful in something, you got to go and seek out the best practices, right? So today we're talking about the top 4, in my opinion, when exploring the music business. These are best practices. And that doesn't mean that there's one way to utilize these different things, but you might off-balance some of them. You might offset some of them, where you might say, you know what, I'm going to manage my overhead here, right? And then I'm going to educate myself here in this year. So the first year, I'm going to manage my overhead and educate myself. But then year 3, I'm going to start figuring out how do I go into invest into infrastructure, right? It's always still on my roadmap, but I'm taking different approaches on when I execute it. Boom, I'm gonna educate myself, and then I'm gonna make sure that I am managing my overhead.
Not selling my rights.
Right?
Right.
And so I might not even invest into the infrastructure because I might try to spend money that can protect me from things that will usually push me out to sell my rights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
I do appreciate you saying that of these 4 things, you're going to have to learn how you're going to manage them.
Yeah.
Based on where you are in your story and your success.
Yeah.
Versus, I think sometimes people hear tips and believe they got to do everything at once. And
don't work like that. Don't work like that at all. So for me, being educated is my number one thing because I truly believe that if you're educated, it can protect you from a lot of mistakes that you can make. Subscribing to a mentor on Instagram without them even knowing that they're mentoring you can keep you out of different road potholes. You know what I'm saying? Subscribing for a mentor in real life can walk you through, you know what? I should have even thought about that shit. That's stupid. Based on a mentor telling me they had a situation like that where they sold their rights too early, or they was buying all these cars and they wasn't investing into infrastructure when they had it, and now they're not living that same lifestyle anymore. You know what I'm saying? These things, for me, are at the top of the totem pole, but you might speak to somebody else that might be like, my number one thing is that infrastructure. Invest into infrastructure, because if you have infrastructure, you have all these different things, right?
Absolutely.
So these best practices, man, is why people come here, why people trying to get this information and this knowledge, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be what everybody's going to get from the Culture Playbook Volume 2. Make sure you go get it, you know what I mean? And it's like, that is where we find ourselves at. You know, building business and building music businesses are the same, like, muscle, same energy. Yeah. Only difference is people think that you gotta, if I was a mechanic and I was always oily and into different things, nobody would be like, oh, don't go talk to that mechanic.
Actually, bring him over here.
He know what he gonna do. And nobody's thinking about the mechanic as like, well, I'm gonna go get that mechanic. He got the saucy loafers on with the, no, you're looking at somebody that's gonna do the work. So when you see somebody dusty as fuck in the music business, they might be doing the work.
I had a mechanic that was always picking up girls. My car was never running. It just was never always, it was never fixed. But the guy that fixed me now, he got 3 teeth.
Hey, man.
I'm telling you.
You can't fix that car, you're a handyman. Save that money.
But please share this with someone that might need it. Like, subscribe, share. We appreciate y'all. Fuck you, money.
Yeah.